My first reaction was, this is so embarrassing. What if my job finds out? You guys are making me look desperate. So I was like, you guys, stop it. Take this down. You did not do that.
I'm Andrea Gunning.
And I'm Ben Fetterman.
And you're listening to Dating Diaries, Questions and Confessions. I'm back.
Dre! How was vacay?
It was really nice. It was much needed time off and much needed family time. I got to spend it with my niece, who's the cutest. I went to Cape Cod. It was actually really nice. But I have to say, Ben, I'm so pumped to be back recording this podcast.
Yeah, we're glad you're back too. I couldn't spend a week without a gunning though, so thank you for lending your sister and mom for an episode of Dating Diaries.
They loved it so much. They were excited all day. I gotta say, I was a little nervous about what they were going to say, but I hope you all got to know me a little bit better through the people that know me best. I also hear we have some very interesting stories this week.
Let's get into it.
Angelina works for a nonprofit that has her traveling multiple times a year. She's never really had time for relationships, or even wanted one, until now. But dating hasn't been easy for her lately.
Dating sucks. For me personally, dating has gone in 3 stages. My first stage, like the first couple of months of quarantine, I felt like an actual elephant. It was cold out, so you're like layering up and you're not sexy. You're not sending any nudes yet, you know? But you're also warding off a bunch of dick pics from guys that are coming out of the woodwork from like 10 plus years ago. Like, you know, in quarantine, you're connecting with a bunch of people that you probably haven't talked to in a long time because you have nothing else to do. The guys take it a step forward and they just start sending you pictures of their dicks. And it's unwarranted, unsolicited. I had to set boundaries for these boys. I just had to say, I don't want to be your quarantine buddy in this way.
Then cue stage 2.
I am half Indian, so my mom is full Indian. So then I entered the stage of begging my mom to begin the arranged marriage process. I was like, I'm ready. This is it. Give me a husband who's a doctor, lawyer, sugar daddy all the way so I can be done with dating. My mom has already made my profile. She's like, just tell me when.
And finally, entering stage 3.
Stage 3 is the stage I'm in now, which is meeting boys on Hinge and just completely planning our marriage already. At the same time, sexting them in the middle of the workday, like starting at 9 a.m., texting a boy, hey, I just had this super hot, horny dream with you in it, and just like completely going off. I'm in phase 3 and I feel a little unhinged.
Angelina was spiraling. She was craving sex and companionship, but couldn't seem to find what she was looking for. Until she met a guy on Hinge that could be promising. He was pursuing a PhD at Yale. Sounds like a keeper to me.
He messaged me on Hinge and I didn't think anything of it because he wasn't that cute, and biochemical engineering, Yale PhD, was pretty intimidating to me. So I ignored it. And then he double texted me on July 4th and I was like, okay, why not give Yale boy a try? Because I was with my family on July 4th. So I was like, guys, got a Yale boy. Like, let's begin the planning of the marriage.
They chatted for a while and decided to meet when she was back from visiting family.
It was so cute. He invited me to dog sit and we ended up going on a hike. And then it was a little later and he walked me down outside of his apartment building. Then he went in for the kiss. I stopped him and I said, are you comfortable doing this? Because I don't know if I am. And he just said to me something along the lines of like, yeah, like you can trust me and I trust you. And then he went in for the kiss and it was super cute. And we ended up like smooching on the side of the street. And I truly have been planning our wedding ever since. We had sex on the 3rd date, which was fantastic. It was just so much sexual chemistry. It was just so good. And he is like super intelligent. So I really liked how he loosened up and just like kind of let his guard down.
Angelina was smitten. Their sexual chemistry was off the charts. But their communication, it was subpar.
His parents live in Nashville, Tennessee, so he went back to Nashville before Yale, and he's still 3 weeks later in Nashville. And I'm pissed because I'm not dating someone on Hinge for them to be gone for a month. And our communication isn't great. I mean, he's not the best texter. I think he is too intelligent for his own good, where he can't even have like fucking simple conversation.
Angelina was fed up, and she let Yale Boy know.
I snapped at him one time. I woke up one morning after he texted me something shitty, and I had just said, I'm not loving your texting communications. And he texted me something sassy back, which was, oh, excuse me, I have to answer immediately. And I said, yeah, note that, please. And I said, if you're just looking for communication to veer off, let me know now. Like, no need to just ghost me. And he had texted me back saying, I'm not an asshole, and I will communicate if I feel that I don't want this anymore, basically.
So what is it that keeps Angelina holding on?
We had such good sex. I want that forever. Like, I want that now. I'll delete every man's contact on my phone to be able to be with him, and he is just like not receptive. Also, I think I really enjoy the Yale title. I think I want to date him because he goes to Yale. If he was any other guy, I would be like, absolutely not. I don't deserve this. That said, with him, for some reason, I think it's the Yale title. I'm going to hang on to the very end, and I'm going to keep poking his buttons. He has to break up with me.
Whether they go the distance or not, Angelina only has two options.
I entered quarantine being like, I am not leaving without a boyfriend. And I think maybe that's part of the reason I'm still in quarantine, because girl has no boyfriend. And I'm still searching, so I'll be in quarantine if there's a vaccine. You know what I mean? I have never had like a boyfriend. I have had boys for long duration, so I'm not saying that I'm a prude. I'm just saying that I haven't brought anyone home to my parents. Also, I've never been in the same place for so long because my job requires me to travel quite a bit. So it's really a time where I'm trying to create these relationships so I can come out of quarantine with like a stable relationship that's not a friendship. And I'm ready. I'm 25. It's either I come out of quarantine with a boyfriend or my mom hooks up an arranged marriage and we go from there. Like, there's no other option for me.
The Yale title and sex combo is a pretty heavy combo. I can understand why it's hard for her to walk away from that.
He's coming with some credentials.
He's coming in with some credentials, and then he's also coming in with some serious moves in the bedroom.
I mean, she's ready to clear her entire Rolodex for this dude.
Listen, good sex can have you hanging on for a while. It can keep you around much longer than you should be.
If nothing else, she's very clear that she wants to figure it out with this guy. Hell or high water.
I just think when you start off a relationship, there should be that mutual interest. And look, I mean, he may really like her, but he could be distracted with being home and getting ready for the next semester or not really knowing what's happening with his schooling. It seems like there's some things up in the air for this guy. But one thing's for sure, she's pretty straight up about his shitty communication habits. And I love that. I love how sassy she is. It's like, listen, I don't like your texting. Your texting sucks. But what I don't like back from him is that he's just like, oh, I have to answer you immediately. That's not taking someone seriously.
It's not even not taking someone seriously. It's defensive, which doesn't bode well for him investing his time in this relationship.
She said, if you're just looking for the conversation to either veer off the tracks or just kind of fizzle out, just tell me. You don't need to ghost me. Just be straight up with me. And his response is, I'm not an asshole. Actually, it's your lack of communication and interpersonal behavior that qualifies you as an asshole. I think that people are like, oh, I didn't ghost. I'm a good person. It's actually the fact that you're just kind of stringing somebody along is actually kind of indicative of not being great to somebody.
Yeah, ghosting is one of many ways to just get out of a tough conversation. You could continue texting once a week, just putting on the calendar like, oh, I need to text Angelina right now because then I'm not a ghost. Yeah, that's fucked up. It's the same thing.
Imagine going on 3, 4, 5 dates with somebody. You've established a rapport, you have good sexual chemistry. And then after 3 to 4 weeks, you have to nag someone about being responsive to you. That's not fun. That's not a situation I want to be in. 4 or 5 weeks into something brand new, I want to be texting you about my favorite playlist. I want to be connecting. Like, I want there to be this synergy. None of this BS. I'm not into this guy for Angelina. She deserves way more. And she's not even getting laid. The sex is good and she's not even getting laid.
It's the power of the ivy.
Man, like, she's just mesmerized by the wand here, I guess. I don't know what type of spell he put her under, but it's not worth it. Alex is a banquet chef in a big city. She's super career driven and has made her work a priority for the last couple years, leaving her dating life to fall by the wayside.
I have like a really busy lifestyle. I work 90-hour weeks, so it's kind of insane. My free time is very limited. So I pushed off dating for about a year and a half. I was just climbing the corporate ladder, getting my promotions, getting where I wanted to be. Now I'm at my dream spot. I have more time. So like in the back of my head, I was like, maybe it's time to start dating.
Not wanting to hit the apps, Alex took a different approach.
Then it's, how do you start dating during quarantine? Like, I've tried the online dating before. It didn't work for me. So I was like, all right, let's think. So over the last couple years, you go out with your girlfriends, you have drinks, people ask you out. I've always said no because it was like my priorities weren't right there. Well, I took down numbers knowing damn well I was never going to contact these guys. And then pandemic hits and I'm going to contact these guys now. So like over the conversations, at the bar and at like parties and stuff, I'm like, all right, these guys were pretty cool. So I reached out to 4 different guys and I was like, maybe one will answer me. Well, all 4 ended up answering me. So now I'm in the situation of, all right, let's see where this goes.
She took a shot in the dark and it worked. But how is homegirl gonna juggle 4 guys?
Over time, just like texting back and forth. And then it was like, oh, hey, I know we can't do anything. Heard about these Zoom dates. Let's do Zoom dates. All right, let's go for it. So I had the Zoom dates. Everything was fine, having fun. And I end up being like, wow, all of them are really cool. What am I going to do? I was like, all right, why not just be honest with them and tell them like, hey, I'm openly dating other people as well. Hope you don't mind. And they actually respected that I was honest. It's better just to be upfront because what are you going to say? No? Oh, well, bye-bye.
Alex was loving the idea of keeping her options open, but she knew it couldn't last. So she began to whittle them down, one by one.
The one I worked with a long time ago, he got transferred to Florida, which I didn't know. I thought he was still in the area. So that's not gonna work. And then there's the one we dropped yesterday. We went out to dinner and this was the first date with the guy. I put my card on the table and he got seriously offended. He was like, why are you putting your card? Like, I'm paying it. And I was like, no, like we could split it, first date, don't want you to pay. But he seriously got mad. I was like, oh, right now, this is not gonna work. Because I like guys that are okay with strong women. Eventually, when the world goes back to normal, I'm gonna go back to working crazy hours. And I need someone that's okay with that. I'm not gonna see you on the weekends. I work nights and, I work weekends and holidays. So I need you to be secure in yourself to be with me.
I'm proud of Alex. She knows what she wants. And it was clear that this guy wasn't going to work for her. But what happened with the other 2 guys?
So there's 2 guys that live in the area as well. We just started going on the outdoor dates and they're honestly good people. Definitely the personalities, how funny they are. Like, I need to be able to laugh. I don't find myself funny, so I need to laugh at you. They're just charming, good people, fun to be around, and that's what I'm struggling with. Now we're really stuck between 2.
Charming, funny. What else could you want? But will either of these guys get her final rose?
I'm honestly stuck because I kind of screwed myself in this situation. Now there's 2 good guys that, what do you do? How do you pick? So by randomly texting all these guys, I kind of put myself in the situation of, damn, this is my own little Bachelorette episode. It's like, let's pick them off, see which one's good, which one's bad, let's find the one.
In a time where others are struggling to date, Alex is thriving.
I've stopped my life for so long that I'm like, damn, this is my time. Granted, at my age, I wanted to climb the ladder. I got where I was at. Now I'm happy. Now I need to move on and progress from here. So many people are struggling during this time, and I'm getting laid more now during quarantine than I have in years.
Alex is getting her groove back. Good for her. I mean, aside from the obvious feeling of concern for her safety in COVID, I think she's kind of a boss. Like, she's got this man-eater mentality that I respect. She's just doing her thing, figuring out what's working. And she looked at her life and said, I've spent the last few years climbing up the corporate ladder. That is what I value. That is who I am. Now I've reached that goal. What's left for me in life? And she's not jumping into a relationship. She's playing the field. She's like calling the shots.
Alex said, I really want to be secure in my own life. And I know when the time comes, that person will come. She's ready.
If you build it, they will come. Like, if you text them, they will come. She put it out there. She's got 4 guys on the line. Spare a phone number, Alex. I got nobody.
I mean, dating's a little like fishing. I mean, she could just hand a rod over to you, Dre.
She wasn't scared of rejection at all. There's so much confidence in this, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I also thought it was fascinating how offended that one guy got when she wanted to split.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Have you come into that situation where like a guy was totally offended that you were saying, no, let's split it. It's the first date.
I've always done the check dance because I never wanted to make an assumption. I'm always kind of happy to pay.
Sure.
I've had a situation where on the second date I've paid and I could see the wheels turning and feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that I took care of that bill. Guys don't like that.
But like outwardly angry, like I'm going to derail this entire date because you're taking your card out.
Not outwardly angry. That is a level of insecurity that I don't really understand. But I think it's a really interesting point when she's like, I work for a living. If you can't handle, a strong female that can hold her own, we've got some issues.
It's an interesting conversation from the guy's perspective, though, too, because there's so much out there. Like, if a guy doesn't pay on the first date, he's a complete asshole. But I think this is an older conversation where it was like, it was the right thing to do for the guy to pay. And our world is just not like that anymore.
Because it's not about gender roles. It's about intention, and it's about, this is what I want to do. I want to take you out. I'm sure if he was like, listen, I appreciate that you can pay for this dinner, but this is what I wanted to do for you. That's a different conversation than what Alex is talking about.
Where did he think this night was going when he like drops down the hammer on the table in public? Like, I can't imagine that's attractive.
All right, so he's nixed, and then she's got the dilemma of the 3 other guys.
So second guy got transferred down to Florida. He's geographically unavailable at the moment.
Now we're down to 2, and now she doesn't know what to do.
I think we have another woman here that the sex is just too good. She says she's never had more sex in her life during quarantine.
There are people who are running on a dry spell like no other in quarantine, and this girl is just getting after it. I hope that there's some level of COVID safety precautions, following CDC guidelines, but she's very open with the 2 guys. These guys are either totally respecting it or being driven crazy.
It's all about options, right? So if those guys have other options, then they're probably not going crazy. But if they're just waiting to hear from her and know there's another guy involved, yeah, they're going nuts.
But she's just like, if it doesn't work for you, bye. I think Angelina needs to take a page out of old Alex's book.
Alex should send the other guy over her way.
Or me.
Or you.
She's not going out and giving her number. She's going out and collecting numbers. She's in full control.
I know, which is a great move. She's just setting up her own like little intranet of numbers that she can contact whenever she's ready. And they respond. That's probably what's craziest about this story is all 4 guys are available or they're assholes.
I guess the moral of the story is hold on to the numbers in your phone book or get better at saving them. Allison is a Midwestern girl from Milwaukee who works in collegiate sports. She's the oldest of 3 sisters, and her family has been known to go to some crazy lengths to find her a partner. Most recently, her sisters took to Instagram.
The classic question, why are you single? My sisters, they'd be like, this is ridiculous. And they both were very lucky where they met somebody really young. So they're always meddling. Everyone's asking. Everyone's setting me up on a date. So it's not weird for my dating life to be another freaking topic of discussion. They've taken over my apps. Like, it can't be this bad. Give us the app. And they'd be like swiping for me. So they've threatened and actually done so many crazy things that when they said, we went live on Instagram and we think there's a chance to like set you up on dates and you just need to say yes. Part of me wasn't fazed and part of me was like, there's no way they actually did that. Then all of my friends were hitting me up like, your sisters are hilarious. They really didn't have a plan. They were kind of spitballing it out and people were interacting with them. So it organically just appeared through the helps of family and friends. And of course, it turned into this whole spectacle.
First came shock and then the embarrassment. But after seeing the support from everyone, Allison was along for the ride.
My first reaction was like, this is so embarrassing. What if my job finds out? Like, you guys are making me look desperate or that I've given up, because I've always been a proponent of like, it's all gonna happen when it's gonna happen. Not hitting that panic button that I think a lot of girls do. And so I thought this was me going against everything. And so I was like, you guys stop it, take this down. You did not do that. Then I watched it and I was like, wait, this is actually funny. And I couldn't believe how supportive people were and they had all these ideas. And then the texts flying through and people were like, I have a guy. And we were kind of like, isn't this amazing? Everyone already had these friends, but no one was thinking. It almost gave something for them to do during this crazy COVID time of like matchmaking with people that everyone already knew. It was like using the networks for just a different reason.
What a creative idea. The Date My Sister Instagram show took off, and fast. Allison was set to go on multiple first dates.
My sisters screened, and I think they got it down to like 10. So that's a huge thing for someone who's dating. Instead of sitting on those 10 awful dates and going, those weren't for me, you have people who are helping with that vetting process. So there was a lot of unique things where I was like, oh, they've already had to jump through a hoop to get to this point. What do I have to lose? For someone who's never done this, it's COVID. So I dressed up once, I set up my drink station, and I just had fun with it.
Sounds super efficient. Why hasn't someone set this up for me? Ben, Francesca, you have to make this happen.
There was not one bad seed in the bunch. It was like the nicest guys. Everyone was like giggly and a little nervous because we were all like doing something ridiculous. But everyone talked about the same thing, and that was like the dating apps just aren't working. In a 5-minute time period, you're kind of getting a little bit and then going, I either want a little bit more or that's a nice person for someone else. So you're streamlining it. And these guys, they were acting like The Bachelor. They came in costumes. They had jokes. One guy was like, your sisters won't stop talking about height. And he runs over to his wall and he proves how tall he is. I just was genuinely enjoying the hell out of this.
She felt good chemistry with 2 of the guys and decided she wanted to meet them in person.
You have to find out like, hey, so are you willing? Or like, should we wait? He's like, I do feel comfortable. Maybe we could sit outside somewhere. And then we had to like figure out what restaurants were open at certain hours because, you know, there's all these limitations. There's nothing sexy about dating during COVID. You know what I mean? It was just like, all right. So we were both good troopers about it and we were totally safe and like respected all the rules. But I will say when you've met in these circumstances and we had multiple dates, so we had gotten past like some of the initial convo, we did feel like we knew each other more than just a typical blind date. So you're just automatically thrown into what I felt was a way better first date than I had had in as long as I could remember. There's not one bad thing I could say about him, but I just knew chemistry-wise, it wasn't the it factor for me. So I just was super honest. You know, he was like, I totally appreciate it. He was super sweet. Even though he had been wanting more and I wasn't, we both were like, it was still a thumbs up experience. And then the other one, same thing. That one led from one date on a Saturday night to, do you want to meet for smoothies Sunday? And I was kind of like, absolutely. I like he's taking initiative. And then it was like pretty much after like we had spent the day together, I was kind of like, again, I don't think it's the it factor, but nice kid.
It didn't work out, but Allison has no regrets. The experience changed the way she plans to date moving forward.
I would love to not go on apps. It doesn't show my personality. I'm like, I don't think I can vet people the right way because I just have not seemed to get a good match out of it. Video is in. And it's harder, yes. And you have to actually put on a face or schedule a date. But do you know how easier and how faster you can just get a feel for someone when you're seeing them and you're hearing them and you're looking at your mannerisms? It's a little bit more intimate where a picture, it's like That could have been a filtered photo from 6 years ago. Or why do you always hold a baby and a fish in all your pictures? And like, are you a creep or are you just like a baby fisher lover?
Before we get into the details of Allison's story, I just kind of want to figure out where you have been and where Francesca has been. I mean, Allison's got 2 sisters really hustling for her. Where the hell are you and Fran?
I mean, Dre, what do you think last episode was about? It's already happening.
Her sisters put her on blast, but how fun. I thought it was interesting that they did pre-interviews.
Oh, I think that's key.
If you were to do a pre-interview for me, what would be your first 3 questions?
Question 1, are you a lawyer? Question 2, are you into CrossFit, athletics, any of the above, any competitive athletic pursuit? And I guess question 3 would be, what's your favorite quote from The Godfather?
It seemed like a lot of time went into planning this for their sister, which I think is super cute. They didn't work out, but she realized, the face-to-face is the way to go.
You're learning more from hearing someone's voice and seeing them actually in person than the facade that a lot of people put up behind their dating profiles.
Well, I mean, the dating apps, it's just all pictures, arbitrary prompts with some witty responses. You could go like a week, 2 weeks talking to someone and it doesn't go anywhere. There's so much time in this like weird limbo that just doesn't move. What I like about the video and what we're hearing from our singles is that at least you get a face-to-face and an assessment of someone in real time, what they're offering, and if it's a match. So all of these people were referred by friends or friends of friends and family friends. And I love the creativity. People got dressed up and people had fun with it and they made it a thing. It just goes to show you that we're not alone. I talk a lot about how dating sucks. And obviously Allison feels like dating sucks. But there are other people out there that are just trying to experience some excitement. And people are down. People are down to do this. So I thought it was pretty cool that her family hyped it up and the guys showed up. I kind of got the sense that maybe she's kind of hard on guys. And it was nice that her sisters took it upon themselves to be like, these are the type of people that I think would be good for my sister. Because I think that in a lot of ways, we are not the best judge of who could ultimately be best for us.
I think you bring up a really good point that there's pressure from family all the time of like, oh, have you met a nice person? And I could see how it's so easy to internalize that and make that a thing. And I hope she meets someone. I want to hear where that journey goes.
I think what's so staggering about this is how many people you need to meet for something to click. This is kind of proof is in the pudding at how hard it can be. It just takes one person, but sometimes finding that right match or that right opportunity that feels right to you, you got to go through like 15, 20, 30 people. That's nuts. Can you imagine if she went through all of those people on the dating apps just to go on 2 of the dates that she eventually went on? That is so much time.
Sounds exhausting. I swear, Dre, these stories just keep getting better.
I agree. That's why we need you all to keep sending us your stories. Email us at datingdiariespod@gmail.com. You can also show us some love on social at Dating Diaries QC.
Tag us in your story.
We'll be back next week. In the meantime, stay safe out there, guys. This podcast is hosted and executive produced by me, Andrea Gunning. Executive produced by Nancy Glass, Ben Fetterman, and Carrie Hartman. Produced by Julie Clark and Brianna Fars. Edited by Matt Del Vecchio. Thanks to production coordinator Megan Paisley. The show is mixed by Dave Saya. Special thanks to Mybe Music. Some names have been changed to protect privacy.